Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Colson. I am back to talk to you about some of our math curriculum. We are going to move on to our next lesson. I know you spent last week joining together problems and doing some story situations to match those models. And we're going to do the same thing today, but today we're going to separate or talk about subtraction story situations. And so before we get started into that lesson, I just wanted to do a quick review. The point of this lesson, boys and girls, is just to be able to look at the model. So story situations sometimes can be a little bit tricky to understand. So really what we're doing right now is we're working backwards. Sometimes when we get a story situation, we actually get the story first. Then you have to think about it, build the model, and then come up with a number sentence to match. Essentially here what we're doing is we're actually working backwards. You're getting the model, and your job is to look at the model, see if you can understand what's happening in the model, and then complete or come up with a story situation that matches your model. Okay, so I'm just clarifying for those of you who might be a little bit confused, and that's okay. And I know that it's hard because we're not in the classroom. I can't look at your faces. I can't see if it's something that you're like, yes, I get it. I can't see if it's something that you're like, this is totally confusing to me. But that's okay, because remember, we're in just some crazy weird times right now. If you don't understand this 100%, it's okay. It's totally okay. You're going to be doing story situations for a really long time. So if you don't get it right now today, you will get it. So we're going to have that growth mindset about it, because I know that sometimes story situations, I know for me, I will look at some of the story situations that Lilybell gets, and I'm just like, what are they asking? And I really have to think about it because they can be pretty tricky. But remember, all you're doing today, looking at the model, breaking it down, writing a story situation to match it. So let's do a quick review. So I want you just to look at this model here. Okay, so I have the model on the board, and I want you to think about a story situation that you would tell about this model. Okay, and so I'm just going to I'm going to have you pause, and I want you just to, whoever you're with, if you want to go run and tell your mom or your dad or your brother and sister, say, hey, I have this model. I want to tell you a story situation to match it. So I want you to do that. Ready, set, pause. And you're back. So you went and you were able to tell a story situation about your model. Now, when we're finished telling our story situations, we always put our number sentence. All right. So here is hopefully what you came up with. So if this was me and I was trying to solve this, the number sentence that I would use to match would be 31 plus question mark equals 45. Okay? Because like it shows me, we have 31. We have the first part. We're trying to figure out the missing part. And then this from here to here tells me that 45 is my total. So I have to figure out, well, wait a second, I have 31. I have the first part of the problem. What am I going to add to 31 to give me 45? So a story situation could be like this. There were 31 birds on a branch. Some more birds landed on the branch. Now there are 45 birds. How many more birds landed on the branch? Okay, so I'm going to stick with birds and branches just because that's me, but of course your stories can be way more creative than mine. So my question to you is, why would this be the right number sentence and not this? Okay, so if I did this. Oops. That's pretty sloppy. Okay. So why is this number sentence not the right answer? 31 plus 45 equals question mark. So I'm going to give you a few seconds. I want you to pause and discuss. So ready, set, pause. And you're back. Okay. I would feel really silly if you didn't pause, and I'm saying pause and then you're back. So hopefully you paused. If you're not, just do it for me. It'll make me feel better about myself. So let's talk about why the top number sentence is the correct sentence and why this one is not. So hopefully when you had a chance to discuss, you discussed that again. When we look at the model, what it's showing us is that we have 31. 31, that's right, that's the first part. That's what the model is showing us. We have one part. But then 45. Why would does 45 fit in this part right here, boys and girls? Is 45 a part, or is 45 the whole? Remember, part, whole. Right now, we're trying to, what are we trying to figure out? Are we trying to figure out a part, or are we trying to figure out the whole? Well, right now, because we have one part and a whole, we're trying to figure out the second part. So this would be a part, whole story situation. So this is showing me part where we have both parts, but we're trying to figure out the whole, but that's not what the model is showing me. So you have to look at the model, you have to look at the number sentences and decide if they are matching, all right? Most likely if you see something like this where you have 31 and where you have one of the parts filled in and a question mark, and then you have your total, you know that you're going to be finding the missing part. That's all there is to it, all right? So hopefully you had a few minutes to discuss. And we're actually, while I'm erasing, we're going to switch gears because we're going to move from addition number sentences. Now we're going to move to subtraction. Okay, so I'm going to get my little computer ready. And it says, so we've worked on modeling math story problems that were about adding numbers. Now we're going to look at how we can model math story problems when we're subtracting. Okay, so the stories that I'm going to talk to you about today are going to be about, again, birds on a branch, but instead of the birds landing on the branch for addition, they are going to fly away. That means that we are going to subtract. Okay, so if the birds are flying away, we are going to subtract. So really quickly, sorry, that was my hand in there. I just want to look really quickly. So let me just put my model up on the board. So here's our model. It's going to be this, okay? So here I have question mark 15. And I'm going to put a 45 back up here. Okie dokie. So here is my model. Okay? Are you ready to hear the story situation? Here is the story situation. And I'm going to point to each section as I tell you the story situation. All right? So remember, we're taking away. So remember when we subtract, usually with a subtraction problem, we're always going to start with the total or the whole. Okay, so our total here on this model is 45. So in my story situation, I'm going to start with, there were 45 birds in the tree. 15 birds flew away. How many birds are still in the tree? Okay, so I want you to think about that. Does that match my model? I'll say it one more time. There were 45 birds in the tree. 15 birds flew away. How many birds are left in the tree? Now, if you hear that story situation, again, here's our model that matches. We just said our story, and I'm not going to write that down because it's going to take forever for me to write it down, but I can model with a number sentence. So if you were going to write a number sentence for that story situation and for this model, what would that look like? Remember, this time we're not adding, we're subtracting, so I'm going to give you a couple seconds. You're going to pause this again, and you're going to write down that number sentence, and then you're going to check it with me. 1, 2, 3, pause. And you're back. I love that. All right, so the challenge was you had to look at the model and come up with the number sentence that would match the model and the story situation. The story situation one more time. There were 45 birds in the tree. 15 birds flew away. How many birds were left on the tree? So I'm going to say that as I write my number sentence. There were 45 birds in the tree. 15 birds flew away. How many birds were left in the tree? Okay, did you get 45 minus 15 equals question mark? If you did, give yourself a silent, no, I guess you can't, you don't have to do a silent celebration. I will because I have kids asleep. So hopefully if you got 45 minus 15 equals question mark, then That is your number sentence that matches your model, that also matches your story situation. Now, do you need to solve this right now? No. All we're doing is we're writing story situations to match our model and then representing that with a number sentence. So if you want to go above and beyond, you can solve it. We have our strategies to solve it. Remember our place value strategies on the number line. So you do have strategies to solve it. But for this lesson, all I want you to do again is to look at the model, write a story situation to match the model, and then represent it with a number sentence. All right? Now again, we are subtracting this time. So now we're doing birds that fly away. Okay? So just like what we can do with the addition problems, with models, we can also use number lines to model and match problems as well. So let's take this problem again, and we're going to change it, instead of this bar model, we're going to change it to a number line. Okay, so what would that look like? How would we match? What would the number line look like that matches the story in the model? So I want you just to, now what you're going to do is you're going to draw your number line, and just based on what we've done, what would your number line model look like to match the story situation and the equation? Okay, so you're going to pause, you're going to write it down, and then we're going to check it. Okay, ready, and pause. And you're back. So, if we were to represent this now instead of a bar model, if we want to represent this on the number line, boys and girls, again, we're going to look at the story, and we're going to always start. Remember, when we subtract, we're going to start on this side of our number line, and we're going to start with the whole or the total. What's my whole or my total? How many birds are on the tree, boys and girls? There were 45 birds on the tree. So we're going to do 45. Okay, so there were 45 birds on the tree. And what else does our story say? 45 birds on the tree. How many flew away? 15. So 15 birds flew away. How many birds were left on the tree? Now again, because we're not solving the problems right now, we're just doing the models and the story situations, I'm still going to just put a question mark here. I'm not going to, a lot of you can solve this no problem, but I just want to see that you can match a story situation with the number sentence with the model. Okay, that's all I'm looking for this time. But is this the same as this? I hope you're shaking your head and saying, yes, Mrs. Colson, it is. Does this match the number sentence? Yes. Do all of these things match my story situation? Yes, because once again, we have 45 birds, 15 flew away, and we're trying to figure out how many are left on the tree. And so that matches all three. That story situation matches both models and the number sentence as well. Okay, so hopefully that's kind of getting you into the frame of mind of, okay, we're subtracting. Always let's talk about those birds on a tree, because that might make the most sense if you have those birds on a tree. So here's what you're going to be doing today. Okay, you are going to be getting a worksheet just like the one that we did for our lesson 7 for our addition problems. All you're going to do is you are going to have there's actually 6 models on the page. You're going to complete A, B, and C today. Just do A, B, and C. You're going to look at the model, look at the story, think of a story situation to match the model, and then you are going to write that story situation down and then just give me the number sentence. You don't have to solve it. All you have to do is look at the model, write a story situation, and then show me a number sentence. So I want to do one more with the number line just to kind of give you an idea, and then I'll get off this video because I don't want it to be forever long, which it's already turning out to be forever long. So let's do just a quick example. Okay, one more time. I want to do the number line one because sometimes that might be the most confusing. So let's say you had a model and it looked something like this. Okay. Okay. And actually, I'm going to change that because I don't want to confuse you. Actually, that might be confusing. Okay, here we go. So here's your model. Here is your number line. Here's your number line equation, or number line model. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so here's our number line model. Okay, we have 52. Then we have minus 20. There's 52 minus 20, and then we are landing on the question mark. So I want you to think about what story situation could you use to match this model. And again, we are subtracting, so make sure you're thinking about that. So I'm going to give you just a second. Again, if you want to pause for a minute or just a second, I want you to see if you can come up with a story situation to match this. Okay, ready and pause. And you're back. Okay, lots of pausing today. I love it. All right, so really if you're going to do a story situation, you could do something like this. There were 52 birds on the tree. Okay, 52 birds on the tree. 20 birds flew away. How many birds are still on the tree? Easy as that. Okay, so 52 birds on the tree, 20 flew away. How many birds are left on the tree? And what would be the number equation that matches that? Well, if you're thinking in your mind, well, I already know that, Mrs. Colson, it's going to be 52 minus 20 equals question mark, because we don't know how many birds are left on the tree yet. We haven't solved it. But we do know that we started at 52, 20 flew away, and we're trying to figure out how many are left. All right? Now you might see something that also looks like this. I'm going to throw this one out there for you too, just because you will see something like this, where you'll be given the total, but then you won't be given the amount of how many flew away. And let's say this one lands at 40. Okay? So here we go. How would you write, how would you do a story situation for this one? Well, what do we know? We know the total, we know the ending part, but we're missing a part in the middle. So there were 52 birds in the tree. Some birds flew away. Now there are 40 birds on the tree. How many birds flew away? Okay, so we're just switching. Instead of trying to figure out how many birds are left, now we're trying to figure out how many birds flew away, because we know the total. We know the ending amount, we just don't know how many birds flew away. So that's what your story situation would sound like. There are 52, maybe there are 52 cookies in the cookie jar. Lily Bell ate some of those cookies. Now there are 40 cookies in the cookie jar. How many cookies did Lily Bell eat? Okay, so you can look at these models and try to come up, and then that's the goal, to look at these models and be able to come up with a situation to match. Also a number sentence. So what would that number sentence look like? Well, again, there were 52. Let's do cookies in the cookie jar. I like cookies. Lily Bell ate some of those cookies. Now there are 40 cookies in the cookie jar. So we're trying to figure out this question mark here. How many cookies did Lily Bell eat? Okay? So hopefully throughout this lesson you've been able to see that, again, all we're doing is looking at the models, and we are coming up with subtraction sentences and subtraction story situations. So we're going to flip that brain. Instead of doing addition, now we're going to subtraction. So for today, I want you to give it a shot. Again, I just want you to do A, B, and C on the practice worksheet, which I'll attach, and then again, take a picture of your story situations and send those to me in your journals. I can't wait to see what you come up with. And then ask me questions. If you're confused, I will do another video posting for this later on in the week, but let me know if you're confused. Again, you will see this again and again and again. This is just an introduction to story situations. So if you're just like, oh my gosh, I am just totally lost, hopefully I've explained this well enough that you can go back at the beginning of the video and watch it again and see if that makes more sense to you as you see me work through the problems a couple times. But just give it a shot and see how you can connect with it. And then again, if you have questions, let me know. And of course, I'm always here to answer. So I know this video has gone long, but I just want to say have fun with this, and don't get overwhelmed or stressed. Just have fun. And I can't wait to see the great work that you guys do. We'll see you later.